Welcome to the HOLDO MANEUVER podcast. I'm Mark.
And I'm Mike. We're two hardworking dads trying to immerse ourselves in Star Wars and fit it into our very busy lives.
This is your first time listening and or watching. In this sometimes short-form Star Wars podcast, we'll share our thoughts on different topics from a galaxy far, far away.
And why did Kylo Ren chase Rey through the forest?
I don't know, because he's a creepy dude.
Nobody got it. You got nothing.
He took Dane Cook lessons.
No, that's close though. It's probably because he just wanted a girlfriend. After all, he'd been Ben Solo for so long. He'd been Solo for so long.
Holy cow!
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yep. Greetings.
Yep,
And on that note,
that's the dad joke this week. It's also that's a joke that Chris Hansen would not enjoy. But, yeah. So yeah. Okay, that was a delayed reaction. But yeah. So this week, episode 33 of HOLDO MANEUVER, we're going to be talking about Galaxy's Edge on Batuu West. We've now finished our coverage of Andor. All of us have been on here at various points talking about that. We all enjoyed Andor very much. But, so like this past week, I finally went to Galaxy's Edge for the first time at Disneyland.
Bastard.
Yeah. Mike was
carpet ripped out from underneath me.
Yeah, like at the very last
It was
minute,
all set up, ready to go, and they changed their minds the day we were supposed to buy the tickets.
Didn't they know we were doing this episode?
I made that clear, and they didn't care.
It was going to work perfectly. He was going to do Batuu West. I was going to do Batuu East same weekend, but now
whiny teenagers beat me. Beat my needs.
Now this episode will be kind of interesting because we'll have Ralph's perspective, kind of being able to have visited it more or less like around when it first opened, right?
Right. I was a cast member at the time, and so I did a cast preview before it was open, and I got on Rise before that it opened as well.
And then your name is technically, well, like within like the construction of it somewhere too, right?
Oh yeah, I wrote my name on the. Well, I heard that the scaffolding that we put our name on, something happened to it and they just replaced it with another. I could be wrong, but if that's not the case, then yeah, my name is written in the highest spire in the on Batuu.
That's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
And then Adam,
I forgot about that completely.
I'm glad I remembered it. Then Adam just recently visited like a few weeks ago. He briefly talked about it on an episode we were on talking about Andor, but figured kind of have like the four different perspectives, kind of talking about it.
Yeah,
you mean three?
My name's not anywhere. I could have put it somewhere, I guess.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
You wrote it in Orbesh.
Anyone could still do it.
Yeah, I could have done it. I didn't even know it was a thing. And then Mark could have found mine, and then he could have put his name there. It would have been perfect symmetry.
Like, Mike, you can write your name here when you get here.
When is the key word there?
I think statute of limitations is done, but I used to, when I worked there, in the back area restrooms underneath the toilet paper dispenser, I used to put a little C and a little $sign for casino skunk in pen. And I haven't really gone back to see if any of them still remain, but this is like, you're going back like 15 years or something that.
Yeah.
So,
it might wear off after a while.
Well, that might be a testament to their cleaning prowess too. Like, how good did they clean?
That was my test.
Yeah,
that was my test to see how things were clean.
But yeah, so this is going to be kind of a little bit more like loosey goosey as compared to like past episodes.
Loosey goosey.
Yeah,
Sounds good to me.
Robotronic. I got some.
No droids in this episode. No.
So wait.
We don't serve their kind here.
So everybody's been there. Everybody's
have not.
So you haven't. Okay.
Except
I thought
I don't know where
go.
I don't know where Mike is in how the video is laid out on YouTube, but wherever. Yeah, he's one of the directions I'm pointing.
That gets chosen in the final post product, so you can point wherever you want.
Okay. Well, he's one of
like
one
Brady
of these
Bunch.
places above.
Yeah.
This is the
On my screen, you're all to the left, and I'm over in my own bubble on the right.
Yeah. But yeah, so this was my first time going there, and like we started bringing my son to Disneyland like back in 2010? No, 2000. 2015, yeah, because it was when it was his 10th birthday that we brought him for the first time, and
that was the year I was back.
Yeah.
I met you guys on a street corner. I remember that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because you were like behind you were behind the
AMC
DCA fence, so like it was like you were like in a zoo, and we were like talking to you through the
that happens
the bars,
a lot.
Basically.
I have a lot of people with friends where I'm behind the bars. The one place I don't want to be.
Yeah, because I didn't get to like actually stand like next to you outside of the bars until like the next year when we gone to Universal for his 11th birthday. But then you were nice enough to sign us in for one day on that year too. And I remember that picture because we both had, my beard was longer, it was like about the length yours is right now at that point. But in the back of the shot is the genie like walking around. So I thought it was funny. There's 3 bearded dudes in this picture, but just because the genie's just like randomly behind us in that shot. And it's like perfectly like a triangular shot. But I don't remember what year they announced Galaxy's Edge. But I remember like years like we had been going like 2016, 2017. And then the last time we had gone was like October 2018, and they had like that, like the concept art thing up basically where like one of the entrances is now. Like every time we gone, we took a picture of Patrick standing in front of it, like pointing and being like all excited. And then like, I don't remember, we didn't go in 2019 for some reason. Oh, that's because we went, my wife and I went to
2015
Hawaii.
It was announced, it looks like.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so basically since we've been going, there's been some kind of concept art or something like building up to us wanting to go. And then I think we were going to go in 2020, but then, obviously all of that happened. And then, so finally, because like this trip originally was going to be Disney World too. So like I still would have been Galaxy's Edge, but it just would have been Galaxy's Edge West or East rather.
And I guess they're photocopies. Like they're exactly the same.
I've heard like some stuff is just like flipped just because of how it's like laid out, but I don't know how much different.
So
really
I say this to people before they go to Galaxy's Edge, and I want to know if it still rings true. For you being a first timer, I probably mentioned that no matter how many pictures you see, you're not prepared to come face to face with the Millennium Falcon. After seeing countless pictures over the last 4 years or so, or 3 years of seeing people in front of the Millennium Falcon, what was it like seeing it in person for the first time?
Well, I told my wife, I was like, first, don't make fun of me if we get up to it and I like start crying or something. Just because you told me to like prepare myself. We took the Critter Country entrance too, so it's that longer like walk through like the forest.
The build.
I like how like and like there's
it's a
like,
good build.
Like the sound effects are like really loud there too, so like it really does like immerse you as you go around that corner. Yeah, like that in itself is like a whole experience of just like walking into there for the first time. Like you walk by like the A-wing and the X-wing and like the Rise queue off to your left. And then like we kind of got lost for a second because there's kind of like there's 2 different like paths that you can kind of diverge onto, where it's like
right's the usually is the way I say to go to the right, instead of going straight into the bazaar. Is usually how I do it.
We went into the bazaar only because we were really hungry. So
that's
we
fine.
went in there, but my son told me not to turn around and look at a certain direction because then I would have seen the Falcon, like half of the Falcon.
Oh,
from
you're
where we
getting
were.
yeah.
So
you're getting Ronto.
Yeah, so he saved me, but I didn't see it there. But we first sat there, had like a Ronto wrap because I've been hearing those were like super good for like the past 3 years or two.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, it was really, it was. We got the regular one and then the like essentially the vegetarian one too, since my wife's pescatarian. And then I think she got the Tatooine Sunrise like drink, which is like it's basically like a fruit punch kind of drink or whatever.
Sounds good.
But like we had made like homemade Ronto wraps over the past year or so because I looked up like a recipe for it and I was like, oh man, these are like 1,000 times better than the ones we were making at home.
Oh yeah. It took a while before I had one, but yeah, they're good. 2 kinds of meats.
Yeah, that was the difference with the one that we made at home because I also had to make it so that my wife could eat it too. So we got like I think it was like the Impossible bratwurst, so that it was like close to what was in there, but yeah, I liked that a lot. I thought that was really good, and I was like already taking like a bunch of photos of like all that stuff there with like the.
But you got to answer my question. Did you cry when you saw them? Okay.
So, we left.
He's getting there. He's getting there.
We went down around that lower spot.
Perfect.
But then that's where we kind of got lost because my son and I went one direction, and then my wife like went kind of like this longer way around. I think because she went like, yeah,
one direction, and
I got what you're laying. She went past like the first order area, but my son and I went through, I think around like the droid depot and up through like that like path. But the reason we did that was we saw the first order troopers standing there, and I wanted to test out just like walking around.
You were running
to see how they would react to that. And they're like, are you part of the resistance? And I was like, and they're like, can we see some identification? And I was like, what exactly do they want? So I just showed them my Arizona driver's license.
All right.
And they're like, all right, well, we're watching you. And I was like, okay, bye. And then
do you know about those costume characters, by the way? Do you know how they operate?
With the troopers?
Yeah.
Negative.
Okay, so they don't talk.
That's it's like pre-recorded, right?
It's pre-recorded, but the way that they communicate with you as if it's a regular conversation is through hand movements. There's like something like 85 gestures that they memorize so that they can have a full conversation with you, and they have to do this on the fly. So it's all hand movements, and if they go like this, it'll say move along. And if you do, but they pretty much have conversations with you. So to be able to like not only memorize all these things,
That's wild. I don't even know.
But in order, and you gotta realize that they're doing this on their toes. They're So I don't know how they do it. So
that makes it so much more immersive that they can.
It was so much better. Way better than Universal, where the cast members just yell at you to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Side note to the Stormtrooper thing too is like they were like in a grouping at one point talking to themselves, and the conversation didn't make sense because I heard part of it, and they were doing that, and I was like, you're just like saying random sentences to each other right now, because it was like
just making it look good.
Where like Kylo Ren is like supposed to be like looking for like Rey, and they're like supposed to be like teaming up with each other. They're like, and I'm like, what is like, what are you saying?
They're calibrating.
Right now?
Maybe they're calibrating.
Yeah. That's the only thing I can come up with.
Maybe there's some, or no, they want to be clones.
Or is it trainee? Maybe it was a trainee.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Learning the hand signals. Yeah.
But yeah. So then after that, yeah, and if like anybody like follows, like you guys probably saw if you were watching social media and stuff, but like Patrick took a picture of me like with them with that happening. But then after that, that's when we finally came around that last corner near like Milka's Cantina, and then saw the Falcon. I was like, oh there. But I was like, I didn't cry, but like I felt kind of.
I'm getting misty eyed just thinking about it.
Only on the outside you cried, not on the inside.
I mean, I wouldn't judge you if you cried. It would be okay. It'd be fine.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like, I think I just got like, it was overwhelming though to see it because it feels real just because like,
yeah,
like, that's just like the front to like the ride there, but it feels like if you jumped over the fence right there, you could go up like the ramp into the ship and like, like fly away just because it's like a 1-for-1 scale of what you assume like the Falcon would be. So it is crazy to see that.
And what's great is the way they constructed the queue for Smuggler's Run.
Yeah.
You get to see it from like every angle, including from up top.
Yeah.
Yeah, like from behind.
So every single inch of that thing is Falcon.
Yeah.
And I like how like
just, it was so great. I loved everything about seeing the Falcon the first time. Like
it punched me. We when we first went, it was at the cast preview, and we were going through the Ronto wrap area, and I saw it, and I sort of made a beeline over to it, and I started getting super misty-eyed when my wife grabbed me and said, "Hey, come here. There's doors open," and we went into Dok-Ondar's, and I'm like wiping away tears. She didn't even notice that the Falcon was there. She just came grab me, and she didn't even notice that I was like crying. I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe what I just saw." It's you see it your entire life, and you see it in movies, and you see people's excitement, like, oh my gosh. Like everyone from Force Awakens who goes to the set and sees the Falcon for real, they have footage of that and them just going crazy. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. They get to see the Falcon and stuff, and then you see all the pictures. You see everybody's pictures from Galaxy's Edge. You're like, that's cool. It's the Millennium Falcon. That's cool. But there's something about walking up to it. It just feels so much different.
Yeah, and, you can't. That's what I felt. You can't really like prepare yourself for what the actual. It was almost overwhelming to see it in person. And it really. I mean, Galaxy's Edge just does a great job of immersing you in the world. And then having the other ships too, like the X-Wing and all that stuff. And then you walk upon the Millennium Falcon and you're just like, I'm really here. Like you feel like you should be in like a robe or something, or any
any sort of like any sort of cynicism you have towards Star Wars at all is like completely washed away. It's, I'm not a huge fan of the Bad Batch, which is fine because there's other Star Wars for me to like. But in that moment, none of that kind of negativity was present. It was like, holy crap. I've been to Galaxy's Edge a number of times, probably around 10, 15, something like that. And every time I see it, especially when I see it with somebody that hasn't been before, because I'm kind of their guide through this a little bit. And I go through and I was with a friend. We had gone into Oga's Cantina in the morning, and I was able to sort of move in such a way that they didn't see the Falcon yet. And so we went into the cantina, had some drinks and breakfast and stuff. And we came out, and my friend Pete was putting his daughter in the stroller as we were going around the corner. And everyone was stopped, and he looked up and he just audibly just went, "Oh," and he just sat there and stared at it because you're going to see it when you go there. but nothing prepares you for what it, like how big it is and how real it is.
Yeah. That's what I found myself the same exact way. Like you can't, there's just no way you could prepare yourself. Especially as like a really big nerd about Star Wars, and just that feeling of it made me feel like a kid. Like if I felt like a kid when I was there already, because we were in Disneyland and stuff. But I was introduced to Star Wars with I wasn't even introduced with A New Hope or Empire Strikes Back. I was introduced with Return of the Jedi. That was the first Star Wars movie I saw. So that it made me feel like a kid at the local video store, like and couldn't wait to get to watch that, because when my parents were divorced, we would go to the video store all the time, and I would rent that movie all the time, probably enough where I wore it out and they couldn't even rent it anymore. So that's what it made me feel like, that nostalgic feeling of being a child in a video store, but like living in the
also
movie.
Like as kids, I'm sure we all had Star Wars toys, and we played with Star Wars toys. I was fortunate enough to have a friend, our next door neighbor. His grandmother worked for JCPenney and would bring, anytime there was a Star Wars release of any kind, she would bring home 2 for him.
Nice.
One to stick in the attic and one to play with. And so like you sit there and you play with the Millennium Falcon playset as a kid, and you imagine you're the action figure inside going on these adventures. And now when you're the size of an action figure next to this giant Millennium Falcon playset, it hits you like Ratatouille, when the camera pull goes into the critic, into his face, and he flashes back to when he's a kid. Like that's what it feels like. Who's the character, Mark, in Ratatouille? The critic? Ego? Yeah. That shot is how I feel every single time I see the Falcon. That zoom into my face. And just little Ralph playing with this.
Mike and all of this buildup we're doing for it will not even affect like when you finally do get to see it. It won't like affect.
No.
I already drank my sorrows and butterbeer over this occasion, so
there you go.
It didn't work, but
would you down it in blue or green milk?
I got some blue milk.
We do a poll. Adam, have you tried both?
I went in there and I didn't eat or do anything except for like just stand around and walk around with my jaw dropped. I didn't eat anything. I can't really eat at parks because I get nervous. I have a very like sensitive stomach, so when I go to parks or do anything, I just don't eat anywhere because I don't want to have to like go to the restroom for all intents and purposes. Like that.
Well, I mean, the restrooms are kind of cool in
you can find a CS somewhere.
Oh yeah, not in there. That's too new.
I only knew the little secrets.
So, Mark, you had blue milk?
Yeah, I got the blue milk. I got this cup for it because I know they had like that light up like jug, but I only ended up getting the blue because even when we went to Oga's like a few days later, they have like a different variation of like the blue milk there. But I just got that again there just because I was like, I'm not going to buy an $18 alcoholic beverage at 9 a.m. in the morning.
I've done it. The yub yub or the
yub yub.
With the Battle of Endor on the. It tastes so good. It tastes so good.
Yeah, Kelly got the Cliff Dweller, not in the like the cup, but just like the. I don't remember what Patrick got.
Straight out of the tea.
She didn't want a pork.
She didn't want the pork thing. But yeah, like after we saw the Falcon, we went on it at that point. The first ride on it, like we took a picture at like the Holo Chest board. I posted that picture somewhere of me and Patrick sitting at that. Like that whole queue is cool too, because I was like pointing out, I was like that like little hallway over there. We can see like the X and O lights. That's where like Han and Leia kissed in an Empire. I was explaining that to Patrick and Kelly. Well, Patrick was like, "Yeah, I know that."
The ladder.
Dad, shut up.
The ladder to the gunner posts.
Oh yeah, he pointed out the ladder to me, and I like how no matter where you go for the like your entrance to that, like because of how it's like built and set up, everybody's
it's crazy
is the same. So like, and everybody like you, I don't know, it's weird how technically everybody is going to the cockpit, but they're all going in different directions.
Yeah.
But yeah, that first time I was a gunner, and then Patrick and Kelly were like engineers. So I was like, oh dang it. But then Patrick and I went on it like later that night, and we were the only two people on it, so we got to be the pilots at that time. So I let him sit in. What was it? Yeah, he sat on the right, I sat on the left. So I let him do the.
You were the pilot. He was the co-pilot.
Yeah, so I let him do the light speed, and I was like, "Punch it, Patrick." So,
it's pretty crazy. Like I'm not like the biggest fan of that ride, but or attraction, I guess. But man, if you can get behind one of those pilot seats, it feels pretty great. It really feels pretty great. The rest of the seats are fun. Yeah. But man, just holding that steering wheel.
Yeah, it's definitely the best experience is doing the pilot version.
Were the dice hanging in the mirror?
No,
no, there's no dice.
No,
you could buy them.
No Han little gold dice.
You can buy them, yeah. So you could buy them, go on the ride.
You can buy them, put them there.
The story is that Chewbacca's lending it to Hondo.
Oh yeah, Hondo. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
what's kind of fun is when you see the Hondo animatronic, you can hear rumbling behind you where you just came through the line and you saw the physical Millennium Falcon, and behind Hondo you can hear it behind you lifting off from that location and going to a different location in the mine where you're about to go. So technically there's only one Millennium Falcon when that one's obviously still sitting out front. But I thought they did a pretty good job. If you're not going to go up the ramp, it still feels pretty good getting in that.
Yeah.
Getting in the sort of lounge area. And you could fiddle with all the buttons in there and roam around and do whatever you want in there. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And again, nothing prepares you for when those doors open and you see that cockpit. Just waiting for you to sit down. It's kind of amazing.
I could see like if you do ride it like multiple times, like so close to one another, that like how it could get just kind of like, this is, but like
any ride will do that though.
Yeah. At least like those first two times, like maybe if like there's like more variations to like, I guess like the mission or whatever that you were doing for Hondo, that could like, and I could see how they could always update that in the future, because it's just like
100%.
So I mean, they could always do that.
I mean, it's a game engine.
How they have some of like Star Tours, basically.
Yeah.
Which I'll have a very quick aside for Star Tours. Patrick and I went on that. And we had like the weirdest like time travel variation of that, because it like started.
Ooh, what'd you get?
Like it started with Darth Vader, but then like we ended up on Crate and.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it was weird because it went from like original trilogy to cut to sequel trilogy, and then I think like the ending thing was like. Prequel, it ended on Coruscant, like, but it was like prequel trilogy Coruscant. So it was like, are we going through like time warps, or
pretty much world between worlds?
Yeah, the world between worlds. Yeah. There was one version of it that we went on that was very sequel trilogy heavy though, because it was like 80% Poe in that version of the ride too. Patrick started figuring out how to do like the hacking in the Disney Play app over there, like the last day walking around. So he was like turning the like the engine sounds and lights on my Kylo ship.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah. He was like, "Oh, this is cool." And he like did it with like the X-wing over near Rise of Resistance. I made what's the name of the alien like that was in the water in the trash compactor?
The Dianoga.
Yeah, like the one that's like in the water, like kind of bottle area. You made that like come up in that thing too. So that was fun. So like after we did the Falcon, Patrick had already had a reservation to do the Savi's workshop, because my like original plan was to get like the legacy version of like this, like the Anakin saber, but I came to find out that they only sell like the reforged Ray version of that
Episode
one now.
8 or 9,
or they have like a one that's like almost like $400, like this box that they just started selling, like this huge wood crate box that is Anakin's saber, but it also comes with Obi-Wan's saber. It's basically like a Battle of Mustafar. Battle.
Or
is it like that? Yeah, they just started selling it, I guess.
Is it from the Obi-Wan series?
I don't think so. Maybe they started selling it because of the Obi-Wan series, but it's definitely supposed to be like, hey, here's Anakin and Obi-Wan's sabers together, but it's like $400 because it comes. The lady told me that 3 people split it earlier that day. Like someone got the box, which okay, and then somebody got Anakin's saber and somebody got Obi-Wan's saber.
The person who got the box was the first person to lose in the game of rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, who got the box? That poor person just got the box. I mean, still, the box was probably cool. But
it was a nice box. It had like this really cool like Mustafar art on it and everything.
They probably just didn't need the sabers.
Yeah, it was like this huge. It was like about like this, like wide, like it was pretty big. But yeah, so Patrick. My wife filmed us, so I ended up choosing to do the Savi's workshop then too. So I was like, all right, if they don't have the Anakin saber that I wanted for like such a long time, I'll do the experience and I'll do it with Patrick, so that way we can kind of do it together. So he ended up going with the protection and peace and protection, or peace and defense. So this was Patrick's that he got, and he had. The original color that he chose for the Kyber was green, but then he really wanted a yellow.
That's what happened with Stevie. They don't offer yellow in the in Savi's.
I do really like this, like about his, like with the top of like the hilt. I like how
that's really cool.
But then I don't know how well you can see with the light on it here, but like it even sounds different.
They all sound different, which is cool.
Yeah. I told them we have like the blockbuster color lightsabers now because I chose blue. And I did the element one. And I was telling Adam this earlier, but I saw they just started selling like these new bottoms to the hilts at one of the bazaar shops. Which I didn't end up buying because they're like $25 for like another bottom for it, but like they have like a crystal like blue, kind of looks like ice, like a wampa that you could put on the bottom of this. There's like a Lothcat one. I think there's like the Ice Fox from Last Jedi. There's like it was a bunch of like different, like there was like a Rancor one, but there's a bunch of different animal things that basically you could put where the Rancor tooth is on this. But
cool.
yeah, so I ended up getting this one, and then I did blue for it. We ended up doing the pictures in front of the Falcon later that night too, and I think I probably shared it with all of you, but after I saw pictures, like these poses look very familiar to me because I had remembered what like those publicity shots looked like for Revenge of the Sith of like Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. And I was like, Patrick, look, and I was like, they just had us do like the same poses. So I thought that was kind of funny. But
so
yeah,
go
ahead.
I have a question about your Savi workshop experience. Did you cry?
Yeah.
A little bit? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I told you to take tissues for that because my wife did it and I didn't want to do it because I like legacy sabers. So I have a ton of those. But I went in with her and shot the whole thing. And I was just like, I don't know how much you guys have seen from this. I don't want to really spoil it. But a Star Wars character does communicate with you at one point during this ceremony of building your lightsaber, and I just lost it. I just lost it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Is it always the same character?
For sure.
Yes, I just didn't want to say who.
Yeah,
but the way
trying to phrase it the way it is.
The cast member.
Don't worry about spoilers for me.
Yeah, the
I won't
cast
remember
member
when
that,
I go.
The cast member that does the sort of guides you through the ceremony is has very perfect timing where you don't really notice it at first, but there's music. Like this whole ceremony is scored. There's music playing during this whole ceremony.
Yeah.
And as soon as this character shows up or starts talking to you, communicating to you, they play like the Force theme and that's it. I'm done. I was like, and I wasn't even making a saber, but it's quite the thing to be a part of for sure.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it.
They had John Williams score the music.
Yeah, I think he scored like Galaxy's Edge in general. I think.
Yeah, would not have expected that.
Yeah.
Well, Disney's very good at the details for sure.
That thing, I want to say it's roughly around 200 for the build a lightsaber, but when you break it down, like a legacy lightsaber is about 125. Then you get the full like sleeve, the carrying case, which is probably like another 45. It all evens out because it also comes with the blade, which the legacy lightsabers don't come with. And then you get that unique pin. Did you get a pin?
Yeah. That's the elemental one. That's the same pin I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, Patrick's is square.
Yeah.
I guess some of the parts are like new parts that they just got.
It's a really cool deal. Like it's a good deal to go through that experience and to build your own lightsaber and then talk to I'm just gonna say it, Yoda. Nice. like it's dad. Like you can't even like you can't even like I don't know put into words what it's like being in that room. And the cast members they get to do these ceremonies are just like pitch perfect, spot on. They feel wise. They're terrific. It's this whole thing. Like even though you're in a room full of people, you feel like the only one there. It's really cool.
That's how I felt. Because I think there was like when I built mine, there were I think 9 or 10 other people. In there, like every station was full. So I don't know how many stations there are. So however many stations there are in there, everything was full. But you do feel like it's a very personal experience. And they, like I said, they just do a really great. Like the cast members do a great job of making you a part of the world, and like kind of it's almost like they allow you to be there. And like it's like such a personal, private experience. It feels like, even though you're surrounded by so many people,
and it's great because it's under the guise of a junk shop. They're collecting junk, and so it's not a place to go for lightsabers. But secretly that's what you're going to go do. And when you're greeted by the cast member, they're like, "Hey, cool! I hope you have a lot of junk or whatever." And they're all like real cool and like kind of candid and sort of like lively and stuff, but once the doors close, they change their demeanor into a more wise, sort of calm, like sage, like type of character, and it becomes this whole mystical thing. Like we all know what we're doing here, but up until now, we're not saying it. And whoever came up with this idea and this ceremony is like a genius. Like they really pulled it off.
Yeah, like writing the script for it and whatnot. What was funny is that when we were going in to do it, like the first order troopers were like walking around out front, So they're like, we have to be quick so they don't notice what we're doing here. So they're like, come on, hurry up, get in. The only thing kind of bummed me out about mine was kind of anticlimactic, because like the end of like the ceremony, they have you place the hilt in like the spot so that like like this can like light up and whatnot. But like it didn't properly like attach
click in
at that point. So like I went to turn it on and I was like, oh, it just like made that sound. So I was like, oh, cool. So like Patrick's just turned on, he's like raising it up like they tell you. So and then
the force was not with Mark.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, I guess that happens at this age, it doesn't. Yeah. And then, but then like I found out that like you can like place it in there, and I like how
jam it in there a little harder and it turns right on.
Yeah, I like how it.
That part was really neat too. I would have been a little disappointed too, because that's one of the cooler parts is when you do put the hilt up there, and it becomes a lightsaber, and you light it up, and the whole that whole experience. I'm glad that at least Patrick got to have the full experience.
I am glad that if it happened to either of us, that it happened to me rather than him. So that although for sure, like an hour later, he had to go back. An hour later, he had to go back because his wasn't turning on anymore. So they were like, oh crap! So they brought it back inside and like fixed it, and then brought it back out to him. So I don't know what's happening there. I don't know if it was just like not connecting, whatever. It's cool to like change the kyber crystal in there too, because you can like unscrew like those panels in the middle and slide them up and stuff. But yeah, like he and I both ended up buying like the belt clip thing too. Like, so like his has like the metal kind of like key ring on it almost at the bottom. So his kind of like swings like more
like that ring right there.
Yeah. So yours has that too. So mine has the round
nub.
Yeah, the nub that kind of just sticks into it. Yeah, like that. So I'm like wearing it in some of like our family like group photos in like front of like the castle and stuff. So I was like, I want to wear it, sir.
Nice.
Yeah. You earned
Patrick
it.
did that. Yeah. So I was like, it's gonna be weird if I wear it like anywhere else when I'm not at Disneyland.
So. Right.
Take advantage of it while you're
in Walmart shopping one day, just walking with your lightsaber.
Although it was
hey, listen,
funny, like going through...
people take worse things around in Arizona.
It's true.
I think you'll be fine.
Yeah,
the fake weapons. Fake weapons. Better.
It felt. Yeah, it's a more elegant weapon, more elegant weapon for a more civilized. But when we went through like the security that morning, I had it like on. She's like, you need to take that off before you go through. Like before you go like through the metal detector. But like. Yeah, like Patrick bought like the Cokes for his friends.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. See, I didn't partake in all the. I mean, I should have probably. I could have spent more money because I did get to go for free. I was fortunate, but I was also at the same time. I was like, a lightsaber is really expensive, and I am an adult, so I gotta be. Responsible.
You're supposed to be responsible.
A totally different story. Like if I had a kid and that loves Star Wars as much as I do, it would be a totally different story because I would just go crazy. I would get them whatever they wanted. So that's cool. Like I probably should have got like the little Coke bottle or something, but I had my experience. I planned out my experience and I enjoyed it the way I planned it out.
Yeah.
Well, and luckily he has a job now too. So like he paid for his lightsaber himself. I didn't buy that. And he bought
that's awesome.
He bought.
So he's going to appreciate it even more.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like when you buy something, he's definitely like that's like gold to him probably.
He paid for a third of it because my mom also got him a gift card for his birthday last month. So
but still, it's his money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
no, that's awesome.
So, yeah, he probably spent more money at Disney than he probably should have between different stuff.
I think everyone does that.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I mean,
probably
part of the deal.
Because like not pictured in this in this episode is like all the Avengers Campus stuff that I bought because I'm a huge Spider-Man guy. So like
right.
I bought like a bunch of like web supplier like shirt. I bought the hat. I bought a Spirit jersey from that, and then they sold like a Miles Morales spider bot like 3 days after I left, and I was like, what the? Yeah, but
how they get you to come back.
Free.
Yeah, exactly.
From Oga's Cantina, so I kept like all the like the coasters from Oga's.
I got a bunch of those.
I don't know if I'm pretty sure this probably isn't like the full set of them because it's just like the Ewok one, the Battle Axe ones, and then the.
They probably have them different sets
like
too,
and the
not
Banta,
just.
Yeah, and then they all look like the Oga's Cantina on the back, but. And then I found like this cool like wooden magnet that I thought was cool because I try to buy like magnets from like wherever I like visit and stuff.
Yeah, I do patches.
I do pins. I'm a pin guy.
Nice. There you go.
I do the pins.
What do you get, Mike?
I buy the food and just live the experience.
There you go.
It stays with me for always. Like I'm sitting here looking at the menus to all these cantinas and things you're talking about. Being like, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Yeah.
They had a special drink for Life Day that I had a couple of years ago or last year. It's so good. It was so good. It was red and had this candied hibiscus flower in it. And just, oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Hibiscus.
They had a bunch of Life Day stuff there. We were there just because it had happened in the past month. Although I wish I wish they had done the same ornament they did last year because I guess last year they just had like the orb ornament that just said Life Day on it, but now this year it says Life Day 2022 on it.
Yeah.
So, and luckily that first day we were able to go on Rise of the Resistance as well too, so we got to do both Smuggler's Run and basically the first day we were there we were just at Galaxy's Edge and we didn't do anything else.
Okay. You've heard the hype. You've heard the hype for Rise of the Resistance. How did it hold up?
It was awesome. I think it lives up to its hype too, because it's like even though like half of the queue is like technically part of the ride too. That's what kind of makes it cool is that like even though you're not really on the ride yet, you kind of it's more of like a whole experience leading up to it.
Did you know about the transport?
Because I had watched like some videos of it over the past like 2 years or so, just because like I wanted to go, and I was like I can't wait to like because I know it would be different like actually riding it as compared to like watching videos people have posted of it. But I like that whole thing of like going from like the queue to getting on that transport, and like you go in that door and then you come out that door, but it's
the same door. That's the thing that gets you. You assume it's like the Haunted Mansion, the stretching room, where you go in one door and you come out the other side, and there's a thing in between. And so you assume you're going out the other side. But when that same door opens and you're in a completely different place, it's jaw-dropping. It's crazy.
That's got to be an elevator too, right?
No.
I don't know how it works. But I kind of like that I don't know how it works because but
you don't want to know?
I can tell you how it works,
but know. But we won't spoil it for you. I would want to know. I want to know all the secrets.
Yeah, tell me how it works.
So when you walk into the transport, if you look at the ground, you'll see that the floor inside the transport and the floor outside are split with a rubber piece in between. So essentially what you're sitting on is a carousel. So you're on a flat carousel that turns in a circle and leaves your pod open to the Star Destroyer. And I believe there's 2 other of those pods going also. So you're just sitting imagine yourself on a vinyl record. You get into a pod, it swivels around to the Star Destroyer area, but it's also on a slight simulator hydraulics. So just imagine a carousel of boxes. You get into it and you come out the other side. It's a like a revolving door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so neat.
I do wish
the illusion is amazing.
Time. Yeah.
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 Sure. Like when you get off there and like you're on the first order ship, I do wish you had more time to like kind of stand there for a second.
You can, and you just start giving blowback to those Imperials who are really convincing and really scary.
Yeah. Because I was trying to take pictures. They're like, come on, move. And I was like, but I want to take pictures.
I want to move.
I didn't know if I was going to be able to get on it.
That's the thing, is deep down inside, they're still cast members. And they can't really force you. I mean, they can. I don't know. I feel like you can spend more time in there if you're just a little more rebellious.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
But like,
there we go.
That whole spot of the Q2 is just as like cool as seeing like the Falcon in a way too, because it's like another like 1-for-1 kind of scale. Like you feel like you're on the set of like one of the movies there with like the TIE fighter that you can see like up on the wall there. And I know that's like they're just like animatronic like troopers that are standing there and that like kind of slightly move their head every once in a while. But like even like that's like really awesome. And then like you get on that hallway, like the whole ride
and get detained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
this is literally.
And then we got lucky enough to be like in the front row of like our like pod that like you're getting shuttled around the ship on after that. Like when you're on
with
that,
the droid.
I guess when you're actually on the ride part of the ride. And we got the lower part of that when we did that. So like when you go by the AT-ATs, we were on the like the floor level of that. So we saw like Finn on the ground there, which you've probably gotten both versions of that. Which version do you think is better, the higher up or the lower version?
I've only been on one version. Every time I go, we go to the upper version where we go to the front of the AT-AT, and you also see Finn. There's two Finns in that room. He's tucked behind a wall when you go in the front of the AT-AT, and he's down against some boxes when you go to the back. I know that, but I've only done that part where you go up the elevator and you come face to face with the AT-AT, and they start lowering their guns right at you and just like destroy the hallway that you're in. So I've only got that one. And anytime I think about wanting to try the other one, I'm like, but I get to see the front of the AT-AT, and you get to see like the troopers inside the AT-AT noticing you and starting to shoot you. So yeah, I've never done the other side, but
yeah, I don't know.
I think it's all cool.
Yeah, I didn't get to go on it again. We were going to try to go on it again the last day, but like when we got to get online, it was down. And like that whole entire area over there was just like people standing, like kind of like waiting. And the cast members kind of telling them, like, yeah, we don't know when it'll be back up. So kind of very nicely, like, please disperse. But because it was
there's
down,
a lot of moving parts.
When we came back to it, it was like the lightning lane line was all the way basically back to the bazaar.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And then I looked on the app and I was like, oh, 240-minute standby.
Jeez.
Wait time.
Yeah, I
was
would wait 240 minutes.
I was like, I guess we're not going back on that again. I guess I'm glad we went out on the first night. So
but going on it, you could see the amount of moving parts that ride has and why it gets shut down a lot.
Oh yeah, I think there was like an issue when I was doing it too. It was a little slower than normal because I went by myself, so I had to talk to people. I had to talk to strangers because it seemed like it was taking too long. So I was like, is it normally like this? Like looking around to other people, and someone that had been there several times and had done it several times was like, no, usually like you're onto this next section by now, so something's up, obviously. And something even repeated, actually. Like, we saw something twice before we actually went in. So that's what I had to rely on. Because like I said, I was by myself. So I just kind of made friends a little. Not friends, but, you know, you had to talk to people. It's just awkward when you're by yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
Single serving friends.
Yeah.
It's too bad there's not like a single rider line for that, because then you could have like got shuttled super quick to the front. That's what Patrick and I kept doing on the Spider-Man like web slingers ride, is that since we had already gone on it once together, like we'll just go on the single rider after that and just tell each other what our points were afterwards to see who did better than the other one.
Nice.
But yeah,
our arms didn't fall off.
Who lied?
Oh well, so the first time we went on that was me, Kelly, and Patrick all on the same like ride vehicle, and I was like doing the full like Spider-Man movement, like even like doing like my fingers, and then I realized you didn't have to do that. Like, so then the next time I was just doing that, but like I was like, I guess you could just do this. But I was like, no, if I'm going to do the Spider-Man, I'm going to do the Spider-Man movement. But that ride is like a workout too, because like just like doing like this like the entire time to like try to shoot like the webs at different stuff. And then like riding it so many times, we like figured out like different like stuff you could do with it to like pulling stuff off in the distance. Like there's like some part of it, like I've like moved so many things that you saw like Giant Man grows in the background and starts like walking around. But Patrick had considered buying like, you know, because they sell the stuff where you're like you can get more points in the game. There, I was like, if we lived here and we were like coming here all the time,
right,
then maybe buy that. But like not. I was like, it's not going to be worth it for you to buy that, because you'll have no use for it sitting at home.
Yeah, go get another lightsaber.
Yeah. I almost bought the Qui-Gon one just because that one was a newer one. I liked the Dooku one that they were selling because it was the Tales of the Jedi version of Dooku because it was blue. But I guess you could just buy a red Kyber for it, and then you could just have both versions of the Dooku saber at that point. Because you can switch them out in the Legacy ones, right?
I don't know. I don't know if you can. I don't think you can.
Oh, interesting.
But I want that. I don't need any more lightsabers. But if I were to get one, it would be that. It would be that
false statement.
Yeah, that Dooku one was pretty nice. I like the Rey one too, like the Rey one that's actually made up for stuff that I know that you have, because that's cool. Yeah,
that's a cool one.
It looks like I'm not gonna say what that looks like.
Sarlacc pit.
Yeah, it looks like that's what it looks like. It looks like a Sarlacc pit. Oh yeah, that's Mason, right?
Yeah.
Because that's another retired one too. Because they were telling me the ones that were retired. Nice.
Oh man, I thought one lightsaber was cool.
I can't reach my classic Skywalker saber.
Yeah, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm glad that. I wish Mike had gotten to go to in Florida.
You and me both.
Yeah,
you and me both.
But yeah, it's definitely a really awesome land with like how immersive it is too. And that same night that we got there too, I don't remember who had told us initially, or where we had seen it originally, but we sat and watched the fireworks from right in front of the Falcon, because you can see them like right behind the spires there. So it's cool to watch the fireworks from that angle, because then you kind of feel like you're on Endor at the end of Return of the Jedi, like watching like like even the last night Patrick and I were walking through there, and we were just walking through as the fireworks were going off, and I was like walking, like you were all the way back at like the Rise area, and you could see like the fireworks going off behind like the X-Wing, and then walk through the bazaar, you could see them like through like the opening in the roof there. So again, like it just, at that point when you see the fireworks like that, it feels even more like you're like in the movie at that point because you're like, oh, we just took down the Emperors. Yeah, fireworks. You have no. And then we just kind of randomly went to the droid depot at the end because we weren't going to buy anything there because we had already got the sabers. But I did ask them if they had any B2 emo stuff, and they did not. Although Mike saw
I found that
action figure in Florida and he didn't buy it.
I thought I was going to the park the next day. Damn it! I was like, I'll get it tomorrow when my kid's here and I can shot down.
But yeah, they need to start selling B2 emo droids at the park, and BD, like the BD droids from the Jedi Fallen Order game.
Right.
Should be selling those too. But I was also glad that our seat at Oga's was pretty close to DJ Rex because I was able to like basically walk just like around the table and just get some good photos of Rex. So that was cool to see that. But yeah, it was overall, I think, a very, at least that part of the trip was awesome. The trip kind of ended in a way we didn't want it to, but the whole Star Wars portion of the trip was pretty awesome. So I'm glad that great. My son got to experience that and he got to build a saber, got to do all that stuff. And pictures came out really cool. He had a good time. So.
You were supposed to go to Universal though, right? That was the other part of the trip.
Yeah, so like what happened with Mike was
you didn't miss anything. I was there.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
He didn't get to go to Star Wars. I didn't get to go to Universal. My wife, maybe
Universal in California is way better, but the one in Florida hasn't changed in 25 years.
No, the Universal here is more. It's a lot. The differences are they're vast because it's a working studio, so it's a lot different. Like there's so much stuff that they can't do. Like obviously, I always tell people to do the Star Tour first. Like that's literally the first thing you should do because it's one of the major things to be in a work because you are on a working movie and television studio when you're there. So it's like that's kind of the neatest part about Universal Hollywood. But like as far as attractions go, I mean, obviously there's the Harry Potter and things like that, but you didn't. This Disneyland and Galaxy's Edge. Like that is
way better,
far and above better than Universal Hollywood.
Yeah, like because we were in the Harry Potter world, and like the people are dressed like the characters, and they're like yelling at us to just get away and move away. And I was like, put some flair into it at least. Like, come on,
use your wand.
Turned into a trash Universal podcast.
Hell yeah,
Universal. Still like your movies.
For the most part.
Yeah. I ended up not being too bummed because I'd also found out that the Jurassic World ride was like down until like next week anyway. So I was like, they weren't like the only thing that would have been new for us to go on there that wasn't there 4 years ago would have been the Secret Life of Pets ride. Outside of like the newer version of Jurassic Park ride, the Jurassic World ride is essentially that same Jurassic Park ride. And the Super Mario stuff doesn't open until like early next year. So we were
that's what I'm going to go next.
Hey, look, there's the Super Mario stuff that's not open yet. So it's probably like a good silver lining because when we do go back with like, because at least we got it refunded, we'll just go when that stuff's open again. So,
yeah, that's when I'll go next to Universal is when all that stuff opens because we usually go to like their horror nights and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
But we didn't do that this year for whatever reason. I don't even know why. But that's what's cool about Universal is like the other stuff that they do, not so much like it in itself, but like Super Mario, I can't wait for that. Like that's going to be really neat.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to Super Mario stuff. So
yeah, it'll be cool. And so to close out over in general, Avengers Campus was really awesome because I hadn't gotten to experience that in the past 4 years. Galaxy's Edge was really awesome. So getting to do those two, like Galaxy's Edge was a lot bigger than Avengers Campus, but getting to experience those two like kind of new immersive kind of areas at both of the Disney parks was an awesome way to kind of get back there after not having been there since 2018 or so. Especially just like all the random stuff that you can, at least over Avengers Campus, they are getting better with it on Galaxy's Edge, because all like the random like Marvel characters that we saw, like they did like a Hawkeye.
Oh my god,
like they did like a Hawkeye like Christmas like thing there that was kind of cool. But we saw Mando and Grogu walking around in Galaxy's Edge.
I saw the jankiest Wolverine I've ever seen walking around.
Of Adventure.
Yes. Oh my god. He was so terrible.
Those
just some fat dude, I think.
Yeah, I guess that kind of shows like the costume differences, or like, but like the costume that they had for Din Djarin, like walking around in Galaxy's Edge, like it just looked like Pedro Pascal was walking around Galaxy's Edge.
Maybe it was
like with the actual Grogu, because I like zoomed in.
You don't know his life. What could have been him?
Maybe it could be. That would be a good way for him to like actually probably walk around the park, is just to do that. But like that Grogu that they have on that, yeah, he did that like back when Far From Home came out, he was doing the Spider-Man pictures with people, and then randomly took off his mask and was like, "Oh!"
Like imagine that. Imagine you're like taking.
And everyone got disappointed,
and all of a sudden, like Tom Holland is there.
I'd be like, "Oh, hey, you sound like Tom Holland." You're like, "Oh, I am." Oh, yeah. Side note: so I already did the story about this tattoo when we did run into Spider-Man. Spider-Man saw that tattoo. He's like,
"Did you do the point?"
Well, no, he pointed to like his handler, and he's like, "This dude has my face on his arm." So he's like getting super excited about me having the Spider-Man tattoo. So I was like, I know I'm like almost 37, but I'm like still geeking out like about like
doesn't matter.
Spider-Man
age means nothing.
I know that
you're supposed to geek out about this stuff.
Yeah, I was like, I know that's just like a dude in a suit, but I was like, I just interacted with Spider-Man. I don't care. But the other thing that was funny at Galaxy's Edge was Boba Fett was at the new bounty hunter thing you can do with like the magic bands, and he was just kind of standing behind somebody as they were like doing the bounty stuff, and then they turned around and like saw him there, and like I wish I had been videotaping it, because they turned around and like jumped so high with like surprise because they didn't know he was standing there, and it was just funny to see like the reaction, because he was just standing there like watching people take bounties, and he was just like going like that to them, and then like he tried to like do it, and he's like, "Oh, it's not working," and then just like turned around and like walked away. So it was cool to kind of see like them walking around in the park. But I would definitely recommend anybody who has not been there yet, like our buddy Mike over here.
I have a new hope though. My parents are talking about taking the grandkids in February, and that means I get to go as well.
Maybe we'll do a follow up with you at that point to see how you enjoyed it with all of this.
I will write everyone off in my family if this had not happened. I will. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I will sob blue milk the whole time, just snotty blue milk coming out of my nose.
Side note to that is that did not taste like I thought it was going to taste. Like I expected it to be like more milky, but it was like very like fruity in flavor. It was more like a
like
slush.
cereal milk.
Yeah. Or cereal milk.
Cereal milk.
Cereal.
Yeah, there you go.
Say that 5 times. But yeah, so I guess that will close us out for our Galaxy's Edge episode. Unless, do you guys have anything else that you wanted to say about Galaxy's Edge before we close out?
I think Dok-Ondar's is the coolest place there.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much all I have to say. All the stuff that's on the walls and all the sort of props in there, and Dok-Ondar, the animatronic, is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I took a bunch of pictures on it too.
How could you not? I mean, if I could have just video recorded the whole experience, I would have. But I did take random videos here and there. But just how detailed and immersive the world is, and how you can really just get lost in it is great. And I think like Disney just did it. They did a great job. And the fact that they mirrored it, I've never been to the Florida Galaxy's Edge. But
supposedly the only difference is the way it faces.
So that like just the fact that you can get that experience and everybody can get the same kind of experience is really neat. I think it's kind of like, because that's what you strive for things like that, is for people to go feel like a kid, or for adults to go in and feel like a kid, for kids to have their imaginations be able, like they're like, I can't even really put it into words. Honestly,
that's what I was lacking in Universal, because I'm the part. I'll do the rides, but I get sick of those real fast. I want to walk around and see all the intricacies and make me feel part of the world, and it was just lacking in Universal.
Like even like the garbage cans at Galaxy's Edge, even, you know, like everything. They thought of
the numbers.
Everything.
The numbers on the garbage cans are 326, 3827, which is the garbage masher number in the original Star Wars.
See, every detail, they covered everything.
Yeah, it's nuts.
That's what's so neat about it, is that they really did think of and have, I think at heart they had like what the fan experience would be. I don't think they just kind of were like willy-nilly about it at all throughout any of the process of planning it and putting it together. They really, really tried to give everybody an immersive, enjoyable experience, and it doesn't, no matter your age, and to be able to just be emotional about it too, like, and to feel comfortable being emotional as an adult, like as an adult man, because like you know, we're
Galaxy's Edge, where grown men go to cry.
Yeah, literally, it's you're not alone if you're crying or feeling emotional about it. You know, you have many people there that feel the same way and are going through the same kind of experience and are able to remember the first time they watched the movies or whatever, or experienced it with their kids. And they just did a tremendous job putting that together and being able to make it the way they made it and give everybody just a great experience. Like you can't go in there and be like, oh, I didn't enjoy this, that, or the other thing.
You didn't try then.
Yeah, like
or you're trying not to, I should say.
Yeah, you're just going. If you didn't enjoy it, you're going in with a negative attitude about it, like thinking like, oh, there's no possible way they could make you feel this way. But no, they do. They make you feel all those feels. So that was my if I had a kid, I think it would be a little different. Maybe they let me. Maybe I can bring my dog there next time, and I can put him in his little Darth Vader outfit.
He's an emotional support animal.
I mean, he is. He technically is. It's just not my personal. He's my girlfriend's emotional support.
They don't need to know that.
No.
It's just, is he one? Yeah.
Yep.
It's his vacation away from doing his job. They don't need to know that.
No anxiety for him today.
All right. So that will do it for our episode about Galaxy's Edge. Hopefully, Mike not getting to go doesn't turn him into his own version of Cyril. So
I wanted to sit here with just an empty bowl, pretending to eat cereal, all pissed off the whole time, but it didn't work.
It's all right. We won't go into your private box. We know you have ways of knowing. But speaking of private boxes, leave us a review on the podcast catcher of your choice if it allows you to do so
publicly.
Yeah, we have ways of knowing. You can find the show on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. All the info is in the show notes, as well as if you're watching this, you already found us on YouTube. If you're listening to us, find us on YouTube to watch it. And individually, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter too. Again, all of that info is in the show notes. Where can they find you, Ralph? And then where can they find you, Adam?
Just head over to casinoskunk.com. That'll get you everything you need to know, including my Star Wars show, live action Star Wars.
I'm on Instagram. I don't really post that much, but I'm on there. Adam Daniel Manning. and then Twitter, Adam Danny Daniel. But yeah, I'm not a huge social media person, but if you like scenic pictures and things like that, you can check out my Instagram. That's pretty much what it is. Sky and mountains and other things. I don't think I've posted since February, but that's neither here nor there.
But yeah. And then if you want to email us, you can email us at holdopod@gmail.com. And then, as always, we are grateful to George Lucas for creating the Star Wars universe. Bright suns!